Now for the real short box, ask us anything. My name is Donald. Below me is Darren over here. Say hello, Darren.
Aloha!
To my, I guess what you would be seeing would be left, I think, would be Kevin. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
And down here in the corner, like a little naughty boy, is Jarrett drinking his Coors Light. Say hello.
I stole it from my dad.
All right.
Oh, my
baby.
goodness.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Kevin, if you want to entertain the masses here real quick while I post the YouTube live link so we can get some views going, that would be amazing.
Entertain the masses. Well. Once again, another Monday here with the Real Short Box with my three co-host brethren. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you did some things for your mothers yesterday. It was a Mother's Day. Some of us live far away from our moms. At least 3 out of 4 of us do. So we had to call and see how our moms are doing, which we're very happy and blessed. How's your mom, Darren? Back in Ohio?
She had a bit of a headache yesterday, but once she came to, she was really happy.
Excellent. And Don, how's your mama doing back in Ohio?
I just spoke to her literally before I got on with you guys. She's doing really well.
Good. And then I know Jared. Does your mom live with you, or she lives right near you?
She's like 10 minutes away, and then my brother's like 10 minutes away, so his wife was there, and then my wife, so we had 3 moms.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was also my baby boy's first birthday.
Oh, so sweet. Already? He's already turned a year old?
Yep. So
You told me that
it was
little Clark Gable is already a year old.
Yeah. Little
my
Clark.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my
My
goodness.
stats is just starting to come in.
If you guys go to Jared's Instagram page, you got to see he has a cute little baby boy, and he makes really cool black and white videos with him on Clark Gable. So it's really awesome.
Well, I didn't want to do Clark Gable itself, so it's Clark fucking Gable. So that way,
Well, yeah. That's
anybody.
true.
And
I don't
just so
wanna
you
get
know,
confused by Clark.
when I'm down checking my phone, we are really tapped in here at the Real Short Box. We have breaking news coming through all the time. So please, if I get really into this, something good is going to be coming very soon.
Oh, okay.
Okay, guys, I put the link out there for everybody, and now I'm going to go to YouTube real quick and make sure that we're live on there so everybody is able to view us. So give me a moment for that. And
I'll start sharing it.
if anybody wants to tell some knock-knock jokes, feel free.
I actually saw the last Star Wars movie. They just put it on Disney Plus. I had not seen it yet.
Oh!
Well, you're not missing much, so, you know.
Well. What did you think?
Okay. I think it was way better than the last 2 in the series.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree.
It was way better than the last 2. I don't want to go too much further than that. It's a lot of action, not a lot of exposition, which was, I think Star Wars should have a good story to go along with it. But you know what? Entertainment value is there. A few cool moments. But yeah, I'm not writing home anything special about it. But thank you for the fans.
It was like the whole movie was trying to fix all the stuff from the other 2 films and make characters interesting that weren't interesting, and then pull in stuff from the original trilogy to be cool, which was the stuff I liked.
Did you guys see like the storyline from the original story for Episode 9? Actually, looks much better from Colin Trevorrow. I actually downloaded the script. I actually have it now. I'm actually going to read it at some point. Maybe I'll give you a report on it. But like the talking points from it, or at least the bullet points from it, I was watching some of the videos. It seems like a much better story. Like they go back to Coruscant. There's a lot more tension, a lot more at stake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But as you know, we did a series of podcasts on all 9 movies, and you know how I feel. I'm so pissed with that Last Jedi, how it ruined everything. Even The Force Awakens, to a lesser extent, kind of started the process, but just very disappointed in what could have been a really good sequel trilogy had it been done right.
Okay, so here's a question.
Sad.
Here's a question from that last movie. So when General Hux ends up being the spy, he says, "I don't care if you win. I just want what's his name to lose." Why did he want him to lose?
Ren.
Did he make that clear? Did he make that clear at any point?
No, just
Not
he
really.
was mad. I mean, I guess he was treated. It was always between him and Kylo Ren for like who was like the best son.
Right, trying to get Snoke's favor.
Yeah, and Kylo Ren always won because he had the Force and a lightsaber. So that was
compete with that.
It was kind of a throwaway, though.
Very much a throwaway.
Yeah.
This is why I can't fall in love with the movie. I mean, those are like literally little details you can tie up very easily.
And also the fact that Rey is pretty much a god. She could just do anything. She can heal lepers and creatures and bring love and peace to the galaxy just like that. She has no flaws.
Yeah, and you know what though? You can be a character without flaws, but you've got to. You have to. The writing has to define this a little better.
And you have to struggle. I have to feel sorry for you. I have to want you to win. It's like everything is just kind of handed to her.
Well, how much do you think they actually had her as Palpatine's daughter from the beginning, or that was something they?
It's all BS. When Rian Johnson killed off Snoke, they had to pull something out of their ass. Basically, that's what it came down to. Now, to me, this is what they could have done. You could have kept Snoke in the story. All you had to do was say that. You know how they did the whole force projection with Luke? You could have done something where that was like a force projection of Snoke and him testing Kylo. And, I knew you were going to betray me, so therefore my real form was not there. Because those things you could have done to not have gone back to Palpatine.
Pretty much what everybody assumed anyway. Everybody thought it was like either Palpatine or a clone of Palpatine. And
can one of you guys, when you get a second,
it should have been Darth Plagueis. If you're gonna do anything, it should have been Darth Plagueis.
Can one of you guys, when you get a second, please share on our real Shortbox page, and Jared, if you can share on the Super Palookas as well, that'd be great.
Already done.
Okay.
Already done.
Okay.
On Shortbox. I mean on Palookas. I haven't done Shortbox.
Okay. For some reason, my Facebook is an asshole, and anytime here lately I post a YouTube video link, it says that it's basically I've been banned from posting apparently.
What did you do?
Any YouTube links? I don't know.
Well, I got one buddy who says I'm in, so.
Well, that's great. When I go to show mine, like people click on mine, it says this video is unavailable with restricted mode enabled. So it enables the restricted mode on my phone every time I post something, and then when I click to unrestrict and click save the individual video,
right.
Once I close out of that and I go back in and click the link again, it says it's restricted again.
Weird.
And it re-restricts it, and I have no idea what is going on. I've Googled it, and it doesn't seem like anybody knows.
Oh, I see that too. Okay, so then we gotta go straight.
What's that?
Are we live to the masses?
Oh yeah, we've been live.
Wonderful.
We've been live for 8 minutes and 17 seconds.
Darren heard everything you said.
Yeah.
That's good.
We've got a comment here. I'm going to pull it up. It is by Maria Friesen. She says, the most recent Star Wars trilogy suffered greatly by not having a single vision.
Exactly.
I think she means...
Can't argue with that.
I think she means a singular vision, not that they didn't have a single vision, although that could be argued as well.
A unified plan.
I think so I rewatched those first two of the newer ones before I saw Rise of Skywalker, just to refresh. The first one was just how I remembered it, boring and forgettable, and no connection to any characters that I felt like connected to. And then the second one was like, they literally, like the director went, hey, you know all that stuff? Fuck that, and then did what he wanted, and then fans got mad, and then this third one was like, we really need to tie this to Star Wars, you guys, and like make a Star Wars film, and they did the best they could.
That second one was so bad on a first viewing, I actually had to watch it again to make sure I wasn't in a foul mood, and it threw me off in some way, shape, or form. And man, when I went back the second time, yeah, I was right. I was right.
I don't know. Benicio del Toro, that was some of his best work.
Oh, good Lord. That
showed up drunk every day.
Is the most useless scene in the history of Star Wars movies.
But yeah. Jared, here's my thing. How could Palpatine possibly be back? First of all, we saw that, him die at a Death Star, get tossed down of, whatever that was. blow up.
Well,
then
keep
the Death Star
in
blows
mind,
up.
Kevin, keep in mind that Star Wars has a history of bringing back characters that are thrown down a well. Darth Maul, for instance.
But this is far worse, though. This is far worse. I mean, this whole thing blew up. I mean, exploded. Then he's back. Then he has all these followers. And here's the best part that doesn't make sense to me. You're out in the unknown regions. You rebuild this gigantic fleet. Where did all that come from? How did we be able to build all that secretly? And how are you keeping all these people fed? And who are all these followers in that stadium?
Bitcoin.
This is a good question. I've never.
How are you keeping them fed?
I did not see one person eat that entire Star Wars movie, and it is something I thought about. By the way, while I was watching it, do these people eat?
That's
They
true.
sleep.
And I mean, from our
In the
childhood.
trilogy, you see plenty of eating and plenty of snacking. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Like
And
from my
Ewoks.
childhood, I remember like when the Emperor is conquered. This is one of those great moments in your childhood. You're like, oh my God, he's so difficult to overcome. He's been overcome, and then you bring him back. Come on, bro.
Yeah, basically, Anakin Skywalker's sacrifice was for nothing. They had to give a win to Rey, so we just basically destroyed the story of the original. So Luke and Anakin, they just wasted their time.
So
The Empire wasn't really gone. They just renamed it the First Order, and then you found there's another thing called the Final Order to go with the First Order. It's just like, what
Yeah, too much Nazi symbolism for my taste, to be perfectly honest with you.
So guys,
Yeah,
we got another comment here. Looks like Maria has another comment. She says, speaking of characters coming back, Boba Fett is going to be in The Mandalorian Season 2.
Funny,
Yes.
we just brought that up right before we went live. And guess what? It all comes full circle with this one because he's being played by the man who played Jango Fett, Tamura Morrison, who's also the father of the Aquaman.
That's right.
What? Did you notice,
Also
guys?
the abusive husband in Once Were Warriors.
I'm getting so tired of this cross-pollination between DC and Marvel, like pilfering each other's actors and stuff. There's so much talent out in the world. Pick somebody different. Like, stop it.
Look, you should be casting something, Donald. You deserve a part.
Oh, you're only saying that now because you excluded me earlier from the casting decision that and Kevin, and I quote, stated via text message that Jarrett and Darren should be cast for everything.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to take money out of my pocket. It's that simple.
You know what? I would love to see either one of you in a nice long flowing wig and a dress because somebody's got to play those female characters, and I guess if it's got to be one of you.
Well, I did nominate. I said I think I would make a really cool classic Scarlet Witch.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
You did
it's
say
true.
that.
You did say that.
I'm going to slick my hair back like Gordon Gekko in Wall Street and say, greed is good.
We got a
I'm
comment.
fascinated.
We got a comment from Arm Fall Off Boy Jawas with an exclamation point.
Oh, like getting murdered? Are we talking about Mandalorian?
That I don't know. It just says Jawas with an exclamation
Jawas?
point. So
All right. In all seriousness, because Kevin, you're very in tap, like you guys, but Kevin, you're in tap with this Star Wars universe. What do you suppose the life of a Jawa is like?
That seems very miserable. I mean, first of all, you got to hide your face. You're wandering around the desert, scavenging for food and supplies. So, doesn't seem like it'd be a good life to have.
oh, he just mentioned Jawas supplying parts. I think he's referring to the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did learn a lot about Jawas in the Mandalorian that they get off on like eating giant eggs, right?
That's true.
Remember that whole egg thing they freaked out about that he got?
Yeah, that was awkward.
They had like a rave party with the egg, like they're like, yeah, woo!
I think I just saw that down the street in North Hollywood on my walk today.
That was a homeless guy just bathing in his poop.
In other Star Wars news, there's a new Star Wars film that will be coming out that is going to be directed by Taika Waititi. For our audience who's not familiar, he's directed many films, including Thor Ragnarok, which I think creates a really vast, cool universe. So I'm excited.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
You guys have any thoughts on Taika?
He makes fun. So he's kind of got the golden touch right now.
Has he golden touched you?
Taika?
Whoa.
Yeah.
You touched my Watiki or whatever. That's what I'm calling it now. My Watiti.
Your Watitis?
Yeah, Waititi. Taika Waititi. Thanks, Taika.
Yeah. Thanks, Taika.
Well, Taika technically already directed. He directed a Mandalorian episode, and he was in his voice was in a Mandalorian episode. So he's already in that world.
Huh. That's true.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
He was the voice of IG-11.
Yeah.
Which was one of the coolest droids in the world now.
Well, I always like to go back to a real Shortbox favorite, the original Iron Man movie. Part of what excited me in the beginning about Jon Favreau directing it he proved in Elf and Zathura that he was visually very competent and he had a very vast imagination. And those kinds of things are really important when you're doing Star Wars.
Yeah, when I saw he was going to be directing Iron Man, I was like, that's perfect, because I already seen Zathura, and I was like, this dude can work with robots, he can work with, the practical effects, animated effects, he can work with younger talent, teenage talent, stuff like that. He's got patience, and that's important.
Yeah. Actually, I take that back. What Taika has, he's getting the golden touch, but Favreau actually has proven he has the golden touch. Like, that guy,
consistency,
for lack of a better word, can completely start at the whole MCU. Swingers is a cult classic, like even his indie stuff. I even love Chef, the movie Chef. Even though the show he does on Netflix, where he just like does the stuff from Chef with the cook. I love that guy. Like, that guy can't do any wrong by me.
By the way, what's going on with his buddy Vince Vaughn? I haven't seen him in a while. I'm surprised he hasn't shown up in an MCU movie yet.
He's been on a lot of independent stuff lately.
Indie films.
Quite a few. And
back on his money.
Yeah, that's true.
Surprised they didn't cast him for something.
We've got another comment here from Mr. Pedro Mendoza. He says, "Hola, brothers." Or "Hola, brothers." Whichever. You can take it either way, I guess. I'm white. What do I know? But, yeah. So, hello, Pete. Good to see you. Sort of see you, I guess. Your comment, anyway.
Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Oh, wait, no, I know. Never mind.
My cousin is on here. Let's see what she says. She's asking a question. Will this be available tomorrow to listen to? Yes, it actually will be available on YouTube to view. If you don't want to see us, you can certainly just shut the screen off and play it. I don't blame you, Lacey. I mean, this guy here, oof, let me tell you. And you don't know which one I'm pointing to, guys, so ha ha ha.
I know which one you're pointing to. I can see through the link.
Yeah, you can see through the link?
Hey, guys, I just got a text message question from Ronnie, a friend of ours. He wants to ask, why can't Marvel write a good Gambit character? He's my personal favorite, and I can't be alone wondering why there's been a dozen or more X-Men films and one terrible Gambit.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, what's his name? Channing Tatum's been tied.
Yeah, Magic Mike. Isn't Magic Mike supposed to play him?
It's been off and on, though, for like ever.
Yes.
And I'm sure the COVID-19 thing is not helping any development things.
Aaron, there's your calling. Remy LeBeau, Gambit. You should be cast as him. Now you gotta get your French accent though perfected though.
So I mean that Gambit film's been in hell, like production purgatory for years, right?
Right. Just like Deadpool was for a long time.
I think it got revamped again, as far as like it got like some push behind it again.
Yeah.
But like I said, everything's kind of on the back burner anyway. But the character, I think they could do a hell of a story with him. I mean, he's got a whole like backstory with the whole Thieves Guild and all the like. He's got his whole backstory, which I'm sure they would tackle. And then, if they're smart, they'll do a Gambit film, and then tie it into whatever the X-Men franchise is going to be under Disney.
But to ask you this, Jared, we have had double-digit X-Men films at this point. I mean, why are we really not exploring him?
Well, they did him in the Wolverine's origin
for maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, with the crappy Deadpool. Which, by the way, you know who wrote that movie, right? X-Men Origins.
Paul Thomas.
One of the people who jacked up Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
You know the D&D. Was it?
Really?
Kevin, as I will remind you, one of the producers of X-Men Wolverine is a friend of the show, so please tread lightly.
All right, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Hey, you don't have to apologize for something not being good.
That's true.
Well, you can have an opinion, and I want you to have an opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, we have another comment here. It says from Arm Fall Off Boy. Let me bring this up. It says, there was rumors that they were trying to make Gambit more of a romantic heist movie, which sounds awesome, and I'm actually totally behind.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
They have to go some kind of different route. If they can't just do a straight-up X-Men film if they want to just focus on him. But they need to me, it's just the casting, because he's a very flamboyant character, at least in the books, with the Creole accent and the, I don't know what the costume would look like now, because he was definitely a product of the 90s as far as his look, original look. But then I also wouldn't want them to shy away from who he is, a kind of, he's kind of like to tie it to Disney, he's like a Flynn Rider, but with a Creole accent and kind of shadier, like and I'm talking about Tangled. I have kids, people. From Tangled, he's kind of this like cunning thief who means well.
Yeah.
But has a badass mutant power, so.
Oh, we got a question, another question here, guys. We got one from Pete. It says, who would you cast as Rogue if Tatum is cast as Gambit? And that's a great question. One I've already thought about. I have two choices, actually. I would go with either Emma Roberts for the younger, I don't want to say sexier version, but, maybe to some. And I would go with Betty Gilpin as more of a mature version of Rogue, but still very much the character. Very much the character.
Yeah. Why does that name sound familiar? Who's Betty Gilpin?
Betty Gilpin's in. She was in that movie that just recently tanked after holding it back, The Hunt, and she was also in Glow. She's
from Glow. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick on the Star Wars theme. I think Felicity Jones has a great look for that part. Felicity Jones is someone that's interesting. I'd like to see more of her. That would be my pick.
Okay.
I would pick Felicity Huffman, because now that she's in the jail, she's like got a rougher edge to her.
She did her part on Zoom.
Exactly.
What about Anna Kendrick as Rogue?
No.
Too tiny.
No.
Too compact.
Too irritating.
She is pretty small. I would say probably Gilpin would be that, and Darren, who you were talking about, would be
Felicity Jones.
Yeah, strong choices as far as like
Felicity Jones, yeah, that could
sculpted
work.
Body type look, and definitely looking the part. Evan's arrived. Evan says salutations, my dudes. So hello, Evan. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it, buddy.
Cheers, Evan.
We're talking all kinds of things right now. Right now we're talking about the Gambit movie, I guess. We're on that. We're on casting for Rogue. And we were talking about Star Wars not long ago. So we are everywhere right now, guys. All over the board. No question is off limits. If anybody wants to ask about Kevin's IQ, he's more than happy to share.
Wow, I don't know about that.
All right.
He's very conceited about that.
If I may, I have a strew of questions coming in. This is from Ryan. So this is going to tap into your film minds. In your humble opinions, guys, who has been the best comic book movie director?
Ooh. Is this like for throughout the last 30, 40 years, or just like in recent years?
I would extend it to the last 30 or 40, but I would say recently, because you don't get a lot of people directing multiple comic films, at least back, in the 80s and 90s.
I would say...
I would definitely say I got to give the Russo brothers props. For sure.
Yep, I'm with you. The Captain America Winter Soldier is probably the best comic book movie to have been created that I can think of. I would either go them, or for just watchability and fun, Joss Whedon for Avengers.
I'd say Russo brothers as a whole, as far as to be able to juggle all the characters and also write some damn good stories. For fun for me and for a new viewpoint, I would say James Gunn with the Guardians franchise.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I still have an affinity for Sam Raimi.
I was about to say him, yeah.
I think his passion and his actual real-life love for Spider-Man really showed up on the screen.
It did.
Remember, when I saw the first Spider-Man film, we had not seen anything like this before. If you go back on it now, it's still watchable, but it's clearly been eclipsed by many movies. But, I mean, the first two are quite great, and in Spider-Man 3, I could see the makings of a potentially good movie that just went awry. So yeah, I'm going to bring up Sam Raimi.
Jarrett, real quick, Gunn also we'll see how he ventures outside of that world when he does a Suicide Squad film, which is coming soon.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
And Darren, with Sam Raimi, we're going to see how well he plays outside the Spider-Man sandbox when he does the sequel to Doctor Strange, which will be coming soon as well.
Which I think he will flourish in, because it's got, he coming from the horror background to like go to Doctor Strange and like where you can do anything, and the budget's gonna have on that, I would imagine. So
hey, it's funny. Years ago, he tried to do a Doctor Strange movie. Interestingly enough, so it kind of comes full circle for him as well.
I'm gonna bring up Doctor Strange in a minute here. I'm gonna circle back around to that, but go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say real quick, Donald. This is one of those moments that we need an actual on-board active producer that could immediately cue to your photo with Sam Raimi.
Yeah, right?
True.
Yeah, Pete, if you recall, I kind of met the guy. I was on set with him and stuff. Darren, too. But Pete also recommended... I'm getting some feedback. Is somebody too close to their computer? Maybe that's it. Yeah. Whoever it was, somebody was bouncing back off of them, and I could hear the reverb. So thank you. As far as Pete's comment, he stated that for Rogue, he was looking at Tulip from Preacher, the lady that played Tulip.
Yeah, look this one up.
Which
I'm not against that one.
She was also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if I recall. She played an Inhuman-like character. Because they were really pushing that Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
Ruth Negga.
There you go. And I'm sorry... And if I offend anybody, I offend them, and it's just the way it is. It is going to be damn near impossible to make the Inhumans fun, likable characters on the silver screen. Like, they failed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they failed in their own TV series, they failed in the comic books. I don't know when or how you're going to make these guys just as cool as the X-Men. I don't see it.
Well... the reason I think Marvel backed the Inhumans so hard is because they didn't have the X-Men, so they didn't have mutants, so they're kind of, and they did it in the books too, they made like Inhumans like mutants pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, now that we have the X-Men back, I think they're going to get even pushed further back. They're going to go back into like,
Right, we got another question here real quick. I'm going to post it in 1 second. I'll be right back. Keep going with the whole thing as far as like who you would think, like for example the best director. Somebody just said in the comments that they thought, and actually let me pull that up real quick before I run away for a second. Frank Huff, he said in the past Richard Donner's Superman, and today Taika Waititi. Yeah, Taika. He says that's his choices. What do you guys think about the Richard Donner comment with Superman? Particularly, I'm curious because of Superman 2 having so many issues on the production of it.
I have a quick. So I went to go shoot something with a buddy of mine, and we were having a couple whiskeys, and he was like, "You got to see. Have you seen the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "No." He threw that on. It's a whole another. It's brilliant. Like it's so good. Like it completely made me involved in that whole. Because before that it was just I watched those movies as a kid, and I was like, that's fun. But the way he tied it together and actually put it made everything coalesce. I think that was brilliant.
Yeah, because what's sad is he shot like 75% of that movie, but then they had to finish the first one because they originally were shooting them back to back, but then budget issues and whatnot, and they had to just concentrate on the first movie. But then he was having beef with the Salkins. They're just driving him crazy, just giving them just hell. And then eventually they're just like, you're gone.
I wanted to be a movie director since I was probably 6 years old, and you have to put together at some point what I call a Film Director Hall of Fame. Richard Donner is such a clear-cut choice for that, because aside from Superman, he has something that you would be considered a superhero film to me is Lethal Weapon, because those guys are kind of superhuman, right?
True.
Conspiracy Theory is just an outstanding, underrated film.
1997.
Maverick, which is kind of superhero-esque in a Western. Like, I mean, Richard Donner has directed so many flat-out entertaining classics that...
The Omen. Man, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Like the guy doesn't really like. It's weird. I don't view him as a superhero director, but he clearly was very successful at it. I mean, Superman the movie that changed the way we look at comic book movies.
Goonies it was almost a I mean, in a way, it's like a superhero. I mean, the kids do all these things that are not like what little kids are going to be doing, and like you got the one guy with the gadgets. It was like the A-team of little kids.
You're right. Yes, it's like the A-team of little kids. And honestly, if you haven't seen it yet, the Josh Gad does the interviews now. He's doing them on Zoom, and he's interviewed the whole cast of the Goonies, and Richard Donner was on there, and he's like, what, 91, 92, something like that?
Yeah, 90.
And his daughter or niece or somebody kept trying to figure out how to do the Zoom for him because he couldn't quite figure it out for a while during this whole process. But once he got it figured out, he was good to go. But it was it's a quite entertaining 16, 17-minute view, and quite charming and heartwarming.
Great. He looked great for 90.
He did.
And he
just turned 90 a few weeks ago.
And he directed one legendary comedy that you guys are old enough to remember, The Toy with Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason.
One of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yes, I remember that movie. And now,
no, because people are no fun anymore.
If it's being remade, it's not being remade with that cast. I mean,
well, to be fair though, all the racism stuff, like that was kind of the point in that story. They just that was the thing of like, this guy's racist and he's
right.
So
it's like arguing. I was in a comic book group, and I was arguing with one of the people in there that he was talking about. Someone had mentioned the I Am Curious Black Superman issue where Lois Lane turns black for an issue. And it's while some people just look at the cover and they think, oh, that's racist, they didn't open the pages and actually read it to learn that the story was trying to teach you a lesson about racism. Right. And so I asked the guy, I was like, did you read it? He's like, yeah, I read it. Because his comment was, oh, yeah, the racist Superman issue that we'll never see again. And I was like, but did you read it? Did you read it? And he was like, yeah, I read it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then that it did this, 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 and this, and it talked about this, and this is why it's important, in that we shouldn't forget that this issue exists. Yes. No response from him, but I got a bunch of people liking my comment because that's a part of a group of people that appreciate older books, so they understand because they probably read the book or know enough about it that they're just not blindly commenting stupid stuff like 90% of people on Facebook do.
I got a comment from a friend, Joe, who's listening right now. He said, and I almost brought him up because you do have to give this guy some credit, but he is a controversial character, Bryan Singer.
Yes, you do.
He did. I mean, some of his X-Men films were good. I don't.
Except for the last one.
X-Men 2 was the best X-Men film. It still is, I think, out of all of them.
That and future Days of Future Past.
Future Past. That was a good one.
Underrated. But let's not forget, he also produced X-Men First Class. Okay, and you have to give him credit because if his hand is on that somewhere. So you don't.
And Matthew Vaughn did a great job on that.
Hands on a lot of things.
Which, by the way, Matthew Vaughn.
Going to go there.
Mention him. Matthew Vaughn's pretty good.
I love First Class.
I love Layer Cake.
Dude, I think Kick-Ass was like a tremendous failure. I loved it. Like it was. He swung for the fence.
We got another comment from Janet Rodriguez. She says, "Pick me to play Rogue!" with an exclamation. Okay, done. You're hired.
All right, send us your headshot.
You just go to the studio. You go to Marvel. You go to Disney, and you tell them that the Real Short Box says that you're hired for Rogue.
Well, okay. If I may, another question from Ronnie here. Superman versus Jean Grey Phoenix. Who you putting your paycheck on?
Superman.
The Phoenix, I think, on that one.
Superman, no doubt in my mind.
Wait a minute, the Phoenix Force?
Yeah.
Superman can beat the Phoenix Force? Are you sure about that? Wait a minute, you're the same guy who had Magneto beating Superman, and which I totally agreed with.
Okay, first of all, Kevin, Phoenix is a lady.
Wow.
I mean,
wait. Choose your next words wisely. Choose your next words very wisely.
We just lost like 40% of our audience now because of that comment.
Hey, guys, look.
Modern episode of Mad Men. Okay.
There's conventional wisdom that because of the status of Superman being the original superhero, and I do regurgitate superhero, the thought of Superman being defeated officially is just, it's beyond comprehension for many people in the comic book world.
Superman's like a Captain America, like no matter what, they always prevail. But I will say on a power scale, I would go Phoenix because she can attack his mind. And we always see Superman get turned bad or something by something like,
Superman 3 taught you that.
Yeah.
That's
God,
true.
in the junkyard? What the
That's true.
fuck was that?
Dude, Super Dickery is amazing stuff. Sorry.
I think Superman is underrated in his mental fortitude. I also think that Superman is underrated as far as his power to convince. He is a reporter. He's a very, very good reporter and a very convincing reporter, and was good enough to go to the best newspaper in the nation and challenge their best reporter and go toe-to-toe with Lois Lane, who, in my opinion, is one of the strongest female comic book characters.
Wait, the Daily Planet is
Barbara
not
Gordon.
the Daily Bugle.
What's that?
The Daily Planet does not compare to the Daily Bugle.
Yes, it does.
All right. So Donald, what you brought up is something interesting. So, like, when Christopher Reeve played Superman, there was a naivete to Clark Kent in that one that I didn't see with Henry Cavill. Like, Henry Cavill was more of a mature man full of wisdom. I didn't get that with Christopher Reeve. Now, I love Christopher Reeve's performance, but it was noticeably different.
It was the bumbling guy. Yeah.
Okay, we got another quick comment here. It's from Pete. Says, "Who in the industry do you believe can make the Inhumans successful?" Does God work in the industry?
Well, you need a good writer first before you get the director. You need a good script.
Yeah.
Because I gotta say this. I'm an old school Marvel fan. I've always liked the Inhumans, but even in the comics, they were all over the place. They were on the moon sometimes, or they were in the Swiss Alps or something. Or, they were never like in one place. They always had some issue where they had to move their Adelon. Now, currently in the comics, I think they like are in New York and they have like their own island. So they're kind of too all over the place. So it's like. But
they're the Gypsies. They're the Gypsies.
Eternals. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that.
Yeah, they're the Gypsies of Marvel Comics.
David Lynch can fix the Inhumans.
Oh, God, no. Get out of here with that.
Interesting.
Dude, I mean, Kevin, I love how you still think this is like 1986. This is incredible stuff.
Hey, Kevin, did you watch Naked Lunch? Was that David Lynch?
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
I haven't seen that one. But yeah, that was David. I think. I haven't watched that one.
It was who?
I think it was Cronenberg.
You're right.
Oh, sorry, yeah, right. It's Cronenberg.
Right.
Yes, correct.
I always get Cronenberg and Lynch confused.
Actually, I want David Cronenberg to direct the MCU movie. I think he'd be good for one.
Come on.
I like David Cronenberg.
So just a small fun fact. Back in the year 2000, when I was a senior in high school, I started a tradition unknowingly where I called it Strange Movie Saturday Night, right? And the first movie I ever saw, it's just one of those movies that puts you in a mood. It was Cube. You remember the science fiction movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Classic.
Only one director has ever been retired into the Strange Movie Saturday Night Hall of Fame, and that is David Cronenberg. So if you want to go into just odd stories or odd occurrences or cool visuals, I'm all on with David Cronenberg. I don't care if he's like 78. Like keep him going.
I'm gonna
bring Scanners. Nice classic.
I'm going to circle back real quick.
What's that, Donald?
I'm going to circle back real quick to the Doctor Strange thing. when we were talking about how somebody said that Sam Raimi had tried at one point. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think in the 2000s he was trying to get.
Go ahead, Kevin. He was trying to get.
Yeah, I believe he was trying to get that movie made back in the 2000s before Spider-Man.
Did you know that there was a studio that had the rights to Doctor Strange for a while? And that studio, do you remember the name of them?
I want to say I thought it was Sony at one point. I could be wrong. I don't remember who it was, but someone had it.
For a while, it was Full Moon Features.
That's right, Full Moon
Entertainment.
That's right.
And they had actually then at that point lost the rights, but they had already written the script and put in some time into production. So they created Dr. Mordred, Master of the Unknown.
That's right. That's right.
Which, guys, I bought about 5 years ago and I have yet to open. It's on my list of things to do. It looks absolutely awful, but I can't. I'm still excited to watch it.
And that Full Moon Pictures is a sub company of Vivid Pictures, right?
Ooh, I don't think so, but
sounds like it.
I mean, Donald, for real, if you're gonna play that game, to my left here, I have a veritable cornucopia of films. How about I just go with Judge Dredd? I mean, I could do this all day. Let's go. What else I got here? The Island. Okay.
Nice.
Hey, that was Michael Bay's movie from 2006.
Of course it's Michael Bay. We're talking about Darren here. There's a pillow of Michael Bay on his bed.
This is correct. Or I can reach for a Donald McKinney classic, Kingpin.
That is a classic. That is in my top 10 favorite films of all time. It really is. I used to watch it nightly before I went to bed. I'd watch pieces.
More so than Plane, Trains, and Automobiles?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Last one, shameless self-promotion. Go see Iron Man. Just go see Iron Man.
Go see it.
Darren needs another residual check, so please buy a copy, watch it.
Pete has another one here. He says, bring this up. Just got the idea of Robert Rodriguez directing The Dark Knight Returns, collaborating with Frank Miller again. Thoughts on that, guys?
As in doing that?
Yeah.
Well, Miller's on his deathbed, isn't he?
Yeah,
like, he's in bad shape for a while.
And he hasn't written anything good in a long time.
So in support of what Pete is saying, I personally, I do enjoy Robert Rodriguez films, and he's been out of the spotlight just long enough that I'd love for him to come back into it. And, because he was doing that El Rey television network, he was doing wrestling shows, but I would be very eager to see him come back and revive his filmmaking career, because he is a talented guy. I mean, I love Desperado. Granted, it's definitely very 90s, but same thing with Dusk Till Dawn. But no, I'm a huge Rodriguez fan. I'd be all for that.
But before he comes back, he must complete the Machete trilogy.
Must he?
Yes! Machete in Space!
By looking at Desperado, Machete, all those things, those are very comic book-like, so he could completely do... Or what did he do, the Lava Girl and Shark Boy?
Right. Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I believe, is the name of it.
I mean, Sin City, come on.
In Sin City, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got another comment from Pete after this. It says, you guys should check out the YouTube channel Death Battle.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Have you? What is that about, Kevin?
It's kind of like, I don't know who copied who first. Maybe we copied them. It's basically like our superhero SmackDown. It's basically like, that's all they do.
Oh, they
really?
Do that?
Oh, okay. All right.
This person versus this person.
Right. They probably do like a video about it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Arm Fall Off Boy, real quickly, says A History of Violence. I don't know.
I
don't know if he's talking about his family or the movie.
All right, say again.
Are we talking on? Do we have to talk about that?
Wait. What's the question?
I don't think there's a question there. They're just saying A History of Violence.
Well, Cronenberg did A History of Violence, and that was based off of a graphic novel.
Oh, okay. Oh, he did direct that.
Guys, William Hurt got nominated for an Oscar despite 3.5 minutes of screen time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's kind of like Judi Dench. There was like a similar thing with her for, was it Elizabeth or something like that? Like back in the 90s?
He's a dame.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Cronenberg did do a great film called Eastern Promises, too, about the Russian mob. with
Which
Vigo.
also
That
has
came
the
out
great
right
Viggo
after
Mortensen.
History of Violence, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I didn't like it immediately, but upon like further review, yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Pete said a comment. He says, love Full Moon films. We do too, Pete. The Trancers series with Tim
Puppet
Thomason
Master.
is fantastic.
Puppet
Kevin's a big
Master.
fan of Puppet Master. I also like Dollman versus also Dollman versus Demonic Toys. I thought was pretty
Oh,
fun.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Subspecies.
Yeah, pretty silly. Some
They're
silly stuff.
They're
but some
kind
fun
of like
stuff.
a trauma almost, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom made a comment. She says, the Flight of Dragons, son, was your favorite. LOL. And she's correct. When I was a child, a very young child, the animated movie Flight of Dragons was my favorite. And I will still watch it once in a while, even to this day.
Now, what about the Never-Ending Story? This year's 35th anniversary.
Strange coincidence on Flight of Dragons. I moved in, a roommate of mine moved in with me, and he was talking one day and was saying about his love for this film with dragons and stuff. It turns out it was the same damn movie. So what are the odds in two people living together that knows this obscure Flight of Dragons movie and both have a nice big amount of love for it?
I only watch dragon movies if Sean Connery does the voice of the dragon.
Ah, some dragon.
I am the last dragon.
Just the way your mother likes it, Trebek.
Speaking of which, that's another class movie, The Last Dragon. Anniversary this year.
We got another question here. This is a good question. Arm Fall Off Boy wants to know, did Rodriguez do Alita? And I don't believe Rodriguez did direct it, although I could be wrong.
He did, actually.
Did he? I thought he only produced it, but maybe.
Okay, here, I'll double check on this, but I will say I've seen that film. Very, very underrated. In many ways, you could consider it a modern classic. Like, the detail work in it was tremendous.
He directed it.
He did?
Yeah, it was directed by Robert Rodriguez. I'm telling you guys, don't skip out on that movie.
It did do well here in the U.S., but internationally, I think it held its own pretty decently.
But budget was $170 million. It box office was $404 million, so it did good.
It's kind of like Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim didn't do well here, but did better internationally. So it's kind of similar to that.
But the style of the movie, like, it's a really cool mixture of like comic book and anime. Like,
it's based on anime. It's based off of original anime.
But it's very comic booky though, and it's really neat. And of course, our boy Ed Norton, who loves to play roles and not take credit for them.
Pete, you're right. It was James Cameron that produced.
Was he in that?
Alita.
Yes, he was actually the guy up in the sky. I can't think of his name, but he was the main bad guy.
Who was?
Edward Norton.
Yeah, Norton's like,
Norton.
I wrote all the script movies I'm in, but I don't want the credit. Like, what?
And plus Mashahara Ali, I think that's how you pronounce it. He was also one of the main villains in it.
He was. I'm going to be honest.
In it too.
I wanted a little more from it, but I still enjoyed it, and you can't say the effects were off at all. I mean, everything was really spot on. They put a lot of money into it. We got a comment here from Pete. It says, by the way, this is shameless plug time, guys. By the way, great job on the musical episode of the Blue Beetle. So much fun. Really loved it. Thank you, Pete, very much.
Yeah, that was,
do we know anyone who's associated with the Blue Beetle Ted Cord Returns?
You know, I happen to have created a web series.
Did something with that, right?
Called The Blue Beetle Ted Cord Returns. Actually, now, Jarrett, it's official. All four of us have been involved in that project at some point or another.
That's right. Okay, cool.
Darren played a villain. Kevin played a hero. Jarrett plays a hero, and I play a hero.
Voice acting.
Yeah.
They digitally placed you in there.
He did a little voice acting for me. It's going to be a nice surprise for everybody. So I hope everybody will enjoy it. It's like a 2-second voice thing, but it's still going to be a lot of fun.
I have a question from Ryan here to let you guys flex your comic book intellectual muscles even more. What superhero has the most interesting backstory?
Ooh. Wow. Man, I think, geez, if you're talking, I think a classic is Spider-Man. Like,
yes.
that's a really hard one to beat, guys, I could have prevented this guy that ran past me from killing my uncle, but it wasn't my job. It's up to the police, even though I have the power to stop him. lets him go, and then the dude goes and just kills his uncle later. That's effed up. That's some
It's that whole thing of like, hey, if you were given superpowers, would you do right by him? And you're like, most people would say, yeah, of course, I'd be a good guy, I'd be a superhero. And it just shows that like this mild-mannered like nerd kid,
that's a good person.
Well, yeah,
he wasn't a dick, No. He got the powers, and he thought he could use them to profit. Why not it be my time? It's like he's in the Goonies. It's my time down here. Yeah. But he chose the wrong time to get a little cocky, I guess, in a way, and it bit him in the ass.
They're like, why didn't you stop that guy? He's like, you see this? This was my wish. My wish.
Yeah, Kevin, you want to weigh in, sir?
I'm thinking of somebody besides Peter Parker, maybe Bruce Banner to a lesser extent.
I wish.
I mean, the classic Jekyll and Hyde, someone who's struggling with rage, a brilliant man, and when he pops off, that's it. All hell breaks loose.
I want to say I like Banner's backstory, I think, more than his quote-unquote forward story, because eventually Hulk does wear thin on me, but I love the backstory, and I'm not going to go with a hero. I'm going to go with a supervillain, a personal favorite of the show, Magneto.
That's
good
too. That is a really, really good choice.
He's a complex villain.
Yeah, and he's got points. Like he can back up his points. Like they actually make sense.
Yeah,
and he's not like a totally evil guy either.
Right.
His relationship with Professor X is fascinating. Because most of the time, a villain and a hero are at each other's throats. And granted, they are, but in a completely different... Because they're still kind of friends. Like, they might be the original frenemies, if you know what I mean.
Right. Well, wasn't it for a time where Professor Xavier was incapacitated and could not take care of the X-Men, lead them, he asked Magneto to put his differences aside and look after him, and he did.
And he did for years. He did like that, and he watched the New Mutants, and
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Matt Murdock, Daredevil.
Oh, okay,
nice.
Let's go.
Notice all Marvel guys.
What pain he's been through.
Well, he's got just the origin itself. He's a kid who's blinded, and then he gets all these extrasensory powers. But his mom is not in the picture. He's raised by his dad, who's like a boxer who throws fights, gets murdered. Then he gets trained and raised by this stick guy. He becomes a defense attorney, so he's helping out criminals, but he's also fighting them at the same time. And he's hardcore Catholic, so he battles with his guilt over what he does and wanting to cross the line. So he's got so many levels to him.
That's a super good one too. Also a very tragic character overall.
Yeah, he's been through a lot of pain.
But the most tragic is the people who he dates. All these women die or have horrible lives.
You're right.
And let's not forget the significance of having your first, handicapped superhero of significance that I could remember.
True. Yeah.
When you come out.
Yeah. So. Very, very true. Very good point as well. And Pete wanted to bring up really quick about the Malcolm X tie to Magneto, Darren. Whereas Martin Luther King would be tied more to Professor Xavier, Malcolm X was more Magneto. He was like, it's time to push back, and Martin Luther King was, it's time to coexist and create peace in a dialogue. So there was he's right, absolutely. That's those two characters. That's who they were created and emulated.
Yeah, to quote, I was watching Bad Boys for Life today, and the whole idea
that's fun.
Yeah, it was, where Professor X would be like, in the Martin Luther King sense, from Bad Boys for Life, when he's like, I'm going to try to connect with his heart. Whereas, Malcolm X is like, I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to do something else. So
we have, when you mentioned Bruce Banner, Kevin, we had somebody pre-ask a question. They wanted to know more about pet superheroes. And it was Maria who didn't put the comment here, so I'm just going to bring up that it was after she read a part of this, Lockjaw and the Pet Avengers.
Sweet.
Now this is where the Pet Avengers go to get the Infinity Stones to try to beat Thanos before he gets them and destroys the universe. And it's all about these pets coming together to do that. And in here, in the back, they have a nice little section that's all about pet superheroes in the Marvel Universe. And she had a question. First of all, she fell in love with the character Hal Cal, who is right here, if you can see.
Is that like a vampire cow?
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty much like a vampire cow, who had a laugh. It's like its laugh was ha 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 moo.
Nah.
So it would laugh and then moo right into it. So it was a big full thing. So she got a tickle out of that. The other thing that she really took a shine to were the outcasts, guys. And these are radiated creatures and things out in the desert that Rick Jones kind of falls for and befriends and leads for a while. They were normal flora and fauna in the desert of New Mexico. Then Bruce Banner's gamma bomb exploded. Most of the creatures in the surrounding area were killed. Those who survived were changed by the experience. Both plants and animals grew larger. Some stood up on 2 legs. Some became wise, and some even learned how to speak. They were shunned by their own species, so they became the outcasts and lived out in the desert. They were befriended by a radiated Rick Jones. We have current members of Ek, who's the cactus. Falco, who is a radiated falcon. Gil. Guess what Gil is, guys? Gil is a Gila monster.
Oh, nice.
Not that suicidal white dude on The Simpsons?
You know. We have Ego, which is the rock creature. Kerr, which is a bat. Kak, who's an ant. Rattlor, who's a rattlesnake. Sting, who's a scorpion. Volt, who's a vulture. And many others.
I like Sting. That sounds great.
Now, I did...
Do any of them compare to... oh my gosh. Thundercats. Snarf.
I did... No, not really, I would say. But I did do a little bit of tiny research. There's not much more on these guys, unfortunately, Maria, except for the issues that they appear in, which isn't many. They appear in 2 issues. They appear in Incredible Hulk number 327 and Incredible Hulk number 329. I believe at least one of the characters appears in there. So 327 and 329 are the issues, and I don't believe they're all that expensive. So probably for like $3 or $4. You could pick up both issues, or $10 for both, if they were overcharging a scotch.
One of my coworkers, you just made him a new fan of Hellcow. He likes that character.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
yeah, Hellcow's cool.
I like Falco because didn't Falco also write the song "Rock Me Amadeus"?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she says, Maria says Hellcow with an exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. I think she didn't think I'd bring it up, but it did. And she has a question now. We've spurned her to ask, what's the coolest super pet?
Out of that team or just in general?
In general.
I'm going Lockjaw. I think Lockjaw's the shit.
Look, if there's a way to count He-Man, I'm going with Battle Cat.
Battle Cat's great.
I believe there is a way to count that.
I love that Battle Cat.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I guess I'll go with Astro from the Jetsons.
Oh, yeah, Astro's a great dog. What a great dog.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll get Dino from the Flintstones.
Of course. Oh, by the way, I have some breaking news. Well, it's breaking to me. WWE Women's Champion Becky Lynch announces pregnancy and will be relinquishing her title.
Oh. Well,
which, by the way, not related. I didn't know this until recently. George Lucas's daughter, Amanda Lucas, is an MMA fighter.
Whoa.
I didn't know this. And she's actually pretty good. She has like a 5-1 record. So
she has like billions of dollars in training, I guess. Like,
did you guys see the UFC on Saturday? By the way,
I did. I watched it.
Okay, yeah, it was a really neat sporting event. You could actually hear all the punches and all the coaching and everything.
Yeah, it was like, huh,
So, real quick to stay on topic with the coolest super pet, I think Topo is probably the coolest one. Not a lot of people know about this. And in fact, I didn't know anything about it, really, until it was brought to my attention. That's Aquaman's pet. It's an octopus. Super cool.
Know what that came to my mind was, remember on the cartoon, the Super Friends?
Yeah.
Didn't the Wonder Twins have like a Wonder chimp?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's funny? You would think I would say Crypto, seeing as how I'm wearing the shirt. But go on with Topo. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that monkey. I can't remember the monkey's name, though.
I think it was like Gleep or something.
So guys, I was wondering if you were ready to transition into the main event of kind of our Ask Me Anything tonight, and that, of course, would be the Moon Knight casting wish list.
Oh, yeah. Somebody else mentioned Bat Hound. They're a fan of Bat Hound. Altex?
Gleek. Gleek. That's the name of the monkey. Gleek.
I like Gleek.
Okay.
So yeah, we talked about our kind of dream cast for Moon Knight, right?
Yeah. We've got a bit here, so let me prep for this, guys, here. And
No worries. So, Kevin, could you give maybe some of our listeners a backstory as Donald prepares as to what Moon Knight kind of the essence is about that character in that book?
And while you're doing that, I'll be right back.
Huh. It's funny. I was going to switch that to Jared because Jared has a better understanding of Moon Knight.
Khonshu.
Again, caught me.
I can do it. I can run with it.
Yeah.
Roll with
you
it.
have a better understanding of Moon Knight than I do.
Yeah. I've got Moon Knight up here. Give you a better kind of a overall.
I'll get some gobbledygook.
Not to be confused with the actress Moon Bloodgood.
Oh, you know what? She was in that movie. Is that the one with was it Pathfinder?
Yes, and Terminator Salvation is the other
Really?
one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yes, the Terminator I don't like with Christian Bale.
Wait, was that the one?
Oh,
where
I
you,
like that one.
You attacked a production person on set or something like that?
Yeah, Shane Hurlbutt, who I am so grateful has helped produce my web series in a very indirect way. No, I don't know. Like, it's just the story was so vapid to me, I couldn't take it. And I'm a Terminator fanatic too, so. Although that being said, the last one just didn't vibe with me. Got to be real.
To be honest with you, Darren, there hasn't been a good Terminator movie since Judgment Day. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Well, I like 3, but I understand what you mean. I get it, for sure.
If the man himself ain't directing it, there's no point.
That's what it's becoming, yeah. I mean, and when they did the pilot for Sarah Connor Chronicles, and that was 15 years ago, that was a $20 million pilot. That was the most expensive pilot in the history of television at the time.
Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a quick backstory of Moon Knight. This is from Wikipedia, so, take it for what you will, but I believe it's pretty accurate. Born in Chicago, Illinois, Mark Spector is a Jewish-American rabbi's wayward son. As an adult, Spector had become a heavyweight boxer before becoming a U.S. Marine serving in Force Recon. Afterwards, he left the Marines to become a mercenary, doing work for the CIA. As a mercenary, he became friends with a French pilot that they nicknamed Frenchie. While working for the African mercenary Raoul Bushman in Egypt, the group stumbles upon an archaeological dig whose crew includes Dr. Peter Lorraine and his daughter Marlene. This does kind of parallel in a way a little bit with Dr. Fate there, Jarrett, if you think about it. So the dig had uncovered an ancient temple where artifacts included a statue of the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. Intent on looting the dig, Bushman kills the doctor. In response to Arlene's murder, Spector challenges the Bushman to a personal combat and is defeated by Bushman and left to die in the sub-zero temperatures of the desert night. Now, in the night, helpless Khonshu comes to Mark Spector and appears to him in a vision and says, "If you will take on the mantle of the Moon Knight and fight crime in my name, I will give you powers." So he basically gives him a silver cloak, a silver shroud, and Spector becomes Moon Knight, and he uses his mercenary skills to fight evil. And that's the long and the short of it. Eventually we get to the fact that Moon Knight apparently has dissociative identity disorder and quite possibly is schizophrenic. Due to the fact that we don't know if what he's hearing from Khonshu, so to speak, is actually the voice of this Egyptian god. So it's very.
It's got Tyler Durden thing going on.
Yeah. Very fascinating in that aspect. So definitely some Fight Club stuff. So Maria, you should really dig that character because you have Fight Club on your wall, I believe. So you should be a big fan of that.
Yep. First rule about Fight Club.
Yeah, we already ruined it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
We brought it up, so we.
On a separate note, I kind of hate that movie, but I love Meatloaf in that movie. I love Meatloaf in that movie. He's hilarious.
Oh, with the tits? Yeah.
Yeah, man boob guy.
I love the movie for so many reasons, and I think partially because it was so well prepared. There is so many clips of porn spliced within that film.
Oh, yeah.
That it blew my mind. Like, even seeing it for like a microsecond and going back, and at the time of DVD erupting out of the scene, being able to pause that and go frame by frame to see what they put in there was fantastic. Fantastic. Right. And just the whole twist at the end was something to behold. And there's a lot of movies with twists, and they don't always work. Frailty works well, I think.
Yep.
The Sixth Sense works really well.
Can't you see that?
Yeah.
That was Bill Paxton.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good one. But then there's some that just fail on every level, that just really tries too hard, and those everybody knows. And I don't really have to mention them.
And I saw that movie today. It's called Knives Out.
Yeah.
Every single level.
In a way, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think that they were trying to maybe, I don't know, it's a different script. It's a different way to look at things, and I don't know if it's a lazy way to look at something or if it's an exciting way to look at something. Well,
it's one of those things, once you know it, you can't really see it again.
No, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
which isn't the case with something like Clue, which is very exciting because you can, watch it over and over again because it is something that's very fun, very enjoyable. By the way, Darren, my mother liked Knives Out, so you're in the minority now.
Well, that's fine. I mean, everyone gets an opinion, and Jared, I was going to point it out to you. This is why, I really enjoy Mystic River because I don't think the twist and the story are necessarily special, but the journey is so memorable. You can keep revisiting that journey.
Well, and the performances and and each character's got their own story. Yeah, that's different to me. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, separate note, Ben Affleck is amazing in films that are directed by Ben Affleck. Okay?
Absolutely.
I was watching The Town the other day. Dude, Jeremy Renner is the biggest, Boston dirtbag I think I've ever seen on screen. It was just tremendous. I mean, a complete lowlife in every sense of the word. A total stereotype of Southie. I loved it. It's great.
We got one more question here before we get started on the Moon Knight thing, guys. So I want to bring this up real quick to kind of close out that part. You guys, of course, can still ask whatever questions you want. This is just the last one we have that we haven't answered. This is from Frank Huff. He says, with the success of The Boys on Amazon and Umbrella Academy on Netflix, what non-DC Marvel properties should get a run? And then he says, I would love to see Wildcats get a run or maybe a better run with Witchblade. And Frank, I'm going to say really quick, you're probably going to get your wish on a semi-Wildcats type thing, most likely Youngblood, because all of Rob Liefeld's properties, or I believe most of them, got picked up by Netflix. So you'll see some of his stuff, at least.
Well, for you prospectors, Youngblood 2, the first appearance of the character Prophet, is going up now because they just announced a Prophet. They're going to do, which is a Liefeld character. They're going to do a Prophet TV series or something.
Yeah.
And Frank, I'd like to pretend this is something other than water, but I'd be lying. But I drink to Witchblade. Bring it back, baby. Bring it back.
Yeah,
I would go on the coattails of Witchblade and say they could do, and now they could actually do it. The Darkness.
Darkness. I knew it. Yeah.
Because you got. If you don't know the story, he's Jackie Estacado. He's this womanizing hitman for the mafia who, by birthright, gets this power that he pretty much can become almost like a demon in some respects, and call upon all these other demons to do his bidding and create almost like a demon Green Lantern. Create anything he could kind of think about in some kind of demonic form. And he's connected to Witchblade and all that. He's like the evil version of Witchblade.
Real quick, Eli's says that Youngblood isn't coming out. Rob said so himself. Rob lost the rights to Youngblood. The guy that owns Comico stuff owns Youngblood now, which is odd. I don't understand that. For starters, Prophet appeared in a Youngblood issue, so wouldn't he be part of that? I don't know. That's a difficult one because he would be part of. You would think he'd be part of that property then, because he made an appearance.
That was the point of Image, weren't they all creator-owned characters? And
right, unless Rob sold Youngblood, but that would be. I wouldn't. That's his baby, man. I wouldn't see him doing that. I'm hard pressed. Maybe he's just being coy in just saying that. I don't know. I mean, it could be true. I'm not saying you're incorrect, but it's very odd that would be the case.
I mean, I am proud to say, and I know y'all would agree, we do have one of the smartest audiences on the internet. So
yeah,
I put a lot of validity into what was just said there. Kevin, do you have anything to say at all?
I'm just listening. This is very interesting.
Right. So on to Moon Knight, I guess, Don.
Well, real quick, TV series, Frank, Nailbiter. Man, I can't say enough. Everybody knows that I get off on that series, and I do. But it's really good, guys. I highly recommend it, and I think it would make an amazing adult-contented, like HBO or Stars or something like that TV series.
Like Chew.
Chew! Yes!
Huh. So the guy says that when Rob left Image in the mid-'90s, he had shared the rights with that guy from Comico to own Awesome Comics, and that guy wound up with the majority of the rights to the Youngblood characters specifically.
That makes sense. Yep.
So it's possible then that he could just do the deal with Netflix if he wanted to. But Prophet would be part of Youngblood, I would assume, but maybe he's separate because he didn't appear in the first issue. Maybe that's where that goes. I don't know.
Who knows?
One can only speculate, but that book popping out to be a $100 book now is crazy, and Jarrett and I had a line on that, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We stocked up on that shit. I was going over to comic books shops and mining their back issue 10-cent, 50-cent boxes, and I have a stack of that shit.
Mm.
So I'm rich!
Yeah, we're all rich.
Yep. Okay, so
we're still going to do the show just to show you how humble we are.
Right. Yes. Darren, we'll get back to that Moon Knight. Sorry about that. So if you want to take point on this, I'll follow along with some pictures when we get to that.
Okay, so the point that I'm going to take on this, first of all, I'm not going to pretend that I'm the Moon Knight expert. You guys more so than I. But obviously, when it comes to the casting, let's just start with the main character of Moon Knight. Who would you want to see as the main character, casting-wise? We'll start with you, Kevin.
Jeez. Who would I really want to see? I think originally I may have had Guy Pearce, but then I switched over to another character for Guy Pearce, and I think we agreed upon that earlier.
Right.
Is it an age thing with Guy Pearce, do you think? Do you think he's aged up, maybe?
At this point, yeah. At this point.
Yeah, he's aged.
So we're talking about who we want to be Moon Knight himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think...
My pick was Ryan Gosling. I think he... because of the dissociative schizophrenia thing, he's played characters that are come off nice and then it can be on the edge. If you ever seen the movie Drive, he plays a very interesting character who's kind of like a romantic lead and then ends up like stomping people's faces. And and if he's playing multiple characters, I think his character work is good. So I'd go with him.
I liked him in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah. Well, I liked him in the Disney Channel.
Well, if you're going with now, obviously, I like James McAvoy, but he's already played a multiple personality disorder character, so he's at least proved to me that he could do it. But I mean, let's just talk about a guy who plays crazy very well in superhero movies, and that, of course, would be Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
I'm joking.
I was
okay,
like,
good.
I'm
Good.
joking.
I got one for you guys if we want a serious one. It's a very small picture of him, so I'm sorry. Marvel has a thing where they oftentimes don't really care so much about age. It's about talent with them, which is why Robert Downey Jr. got the role of Iron Man, of Tony Stark. So I thought about that, and I thought, well, who would be a very good person that would be dealing with like some type of mental disorder and could pull it off and be very serious, but look good and look the part? And I think Michael C. Hall from Dexter would be a great choice. He's getting a little older now, but he's still in very good shape. And I think from his time alone in Dexter and playing that type of a character, he's got no issues.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I'm not against that.
Was you taking for Cletus Cassidy at one point?
For Cletus Cassidy? Yeah. I mean, he would have been a good one. But I think if you guys recall the Cletus Cassidy one, I had chosen the guy that played the lead in Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, yeah.
I think. Yeah, he was the. I think he would have been a very good Cletus. Sean Regalado says that his ass has finally decided to eat his hand, and it hungers for more. So.
So I was gonna say I actually like Woody Harrelson minus the goofy wig. Like, for real, if we would just get rid of the goofy wig, Woody Harrelson was fine.
Yeah, the wig's an issue. It's really bad. It's a really bad wig. Like,
so I got a text here from your arch nemesis, Donald. That would be one Nick Popio. He says Dexter was a highly underrated show, and he actually agrees with you on Michael C. Hall.
What? Oh my God! Guys, I need a drink or something here. I'll just have some water for now because my throat's tickling. But
dude, I wish fireworks were legal in Los Angeles. I'd be, right now.
Well, Nick has a problem with Donald's choices in life or something. He doesn't usually agree with them.
We've got something here, though. Are you ready? Say it one more time, Darren.
All right. I'm going to repeat this text one more time. Apparently, your arch nemesis, Nick, says that Dexter was a highly underrated show and Hall would be a nice fit to play Moon Knight.
So I was correct, right? Like, he liked my choice?
Yes, he did.
Oh!
All worth it.
Party time.
Donald. Thomas Middleditch. Thomas Middleditch. That's the guy from Silicon Valley.
Thomas Middleditch? What a weird last name.
No, Thomas Middleditch. Middleditch.
Oh, Middleditch. That's even better.
Well, when you're in the middle in the car, it was called bitch, so middle bitch would work.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised you guys didn't pick Ryan Reynolds. He's everything in comic books, apparently.
Now we're good.
Hannibal King, Green Lantern,
So,
Deadpool.
Frank Hoff, he brings up an interesting choice. He says Alexander Skarsgård would be a good Moon Knight.
He's good. He's too tall. Like,
he's pretty tall.
We're thinking of Pennywise, right?
What's that?
We're thinking of Pennywise the Clown, right? Alexander Skarsgård?
No.
True Blood.
Yeah, True Blood.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Battleship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård's
I see
son.
where he's coming from.
Yeah, good choice.
He's not bad. He's a good actor, and yeah, but...
So, Yuli Tech says to get the guy who played Rorschach as Carnage.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Oh, James Hale Early?
Jackie Earl Haley.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Bad News Bears kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's an interesting... I like Jackie Earl Haley. I mean, I don't blame him for the failure of that Nightmare on Elm Street movie. That was altogether something else.
Right.
He was fine as Freddy Krueger, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I think the only problem, and I hate, and this is just coming from me, again, I think Cletus is just... He needs to be younger. He needs to have...
Sure.
Some piss and vinegar in him, being old and grizzled, just for me it doesn't work, just from a purely comic book standpoint. But I still would not argue against it if that happened, because if anybody can pull off a character and make him amazing, it's Jackie Earle Haley, because he's.
Hey, let's just find the redhead kid from The Sandlot. You know, he hasn't aged much. We'll just go ahead and throw him in there.
Right. Well, he hasn't aged much. I believe he ate the other redhead kid that was in The Sandlot. So.
Or we can get our friend of the show, Tanner, perhaps.
Oh no! You know he'd be a great Carnage. Carrot Top.
Once he's gained, sure.
So, Jared, did you have a list of someone you might want to see playing Bushman?
I'm trying to think of how you say his name.
Real quick, I'm sorry. We got another comment on Moon Knight. He said, could Jake Gyllenhaal play Moon Knight? And this is from Arm Fall Off Boy. And I think he could.
I think he positively could.
In fact, I think the only reason why I hesitated with my choice was because he may not be a big enough name. And Ryan Gosling and Jake Gyllenhaal are both big enough names to play characters that could originate in a Disney Plus series and then springboard into the movie universe like they want.
Right.
And I think that's what they're after.
Personally, I would have preferred Jake Gyllenhaal to be Morbius over Jared Leto, to be honest with you.
Really? Good one.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been because I just think his range. Because Jared Leto, to me, no disrespect to the guy, but I've found him overrated for a few years now. And I just think Jake Gyllenhaal is kind of underrated as an actor. Very good dramatic actor, in my opinion.
Well, Darren, that kind of attitude will not get you invited into the Dallas Buyers Club.
Well, so, Jared, what are your thoughts again on Bushman? Sorry.
So for Bushman, I had, I believe it's Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Yeah, we talked about him. Aquaman, Black Manta.
He was Black Manta in Aquaman, but he was also in The Get Down, that Netflix show.
Yeah.
Just a hell of an actor, like really cool guy on the scene, like new guy on the scene, and like big dude. And Bushman is like a big, like he's a super buff, like he looks like a bodybuilder. So it'd be like totally for somebody to like pack on the muscle, and this guy's already a pretty big guy, so I think he could do it. And he's got the acting chops. So.
By the way, Jared, do you feel like Chapel from Spawn is kind of a ripoff of the Bushman in some ways?
Yeah. If you actually look-wise, almost identical. Yeah.
I'm going to go with is it Adewale? I can't think of his name right now. He was in G.I. Joe. That's all I know him from. I'm sorry, I spoke too soon.
I think he may have been in Casino Royale as well.
Yeah, a very large guy. Like he's got that intimidating presence to him, which I think is kind of important for that character.
Yeah,
well, I'm surprised. I mean, really, nobody ever says Idris Elba for any casting.
Well, I did, but that was nixed out by a certain person because I understand he's in everything. That's true.
He's very quirky too.
Even if he wasn't already a Marvel character, Heimdall, I would still nix him because he's overused. And I feel like, honestly, African-American actors don't get enough representation, particularly, African-American actors in general, to be honest. And when they do get representation, it's by the same 4 or 5 actors.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. There's a lot of talent out there. And this dude down here, this guy that you guys can't see me pointing to, but he's got some talent, man. He is great. He was
Donald,
astounding in The Get Down.
Donald, I encourage you then to tune into HBO's Ballers, which has a veritable cornucopia of upcoming African-American talent.
I will.
Denzel Washington's son.
Yes. And of course, my favorite, Charles Green. That's his character's name, but he kind of plays a big dopey guy perfectly. I love it.
I think Jarrett's going to have to leave here around 9. So, Jarrett, real quick, before you go, do you have another choice or two for your casting on Moon Knight?
I mean, no, because the only other main characters are what we have. the girl is his love interest. The what's her name?
Marlene.
Yeah, Marlene.
Marlene, yeah.
And then he doesn't have like aside from Bushman, it's like he doesn't really have like a rogues gallery like
right,
like other guys.
He got his buddy Frenchie.
So real quick, then, if you're gonna head out here, to leave you on a high note and one I think you'll appreciate, there's Khonshu, who was the Egyptian god that basically gave him his powers. I chose somebody that I think would be interesting and make waves, be a bit controversial. I went with Gilbert Gottfried.
I was going to say that as a joke.
Were you? You know what? Me too, originally. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. Gilbert Gottfried does a fake voice. That's his skit. His kitsch, his sketch thing.
Is that what you say?
Right. But that's not his real voice. If you hear his real voice, it's cool. It's like, he is intimidating. His real voice is intimidating. And I think if he used his real voice to play the spirit of Khonshu, I think that you would have something really awesome.
And then imagine if you saw that at the end in the credits, it's like Khonshu, Gilbert Gottfried, and you're like, what the?
Right. Right. Or just seen a picture of him in Entertainment Weekly in the cast.
It's kind of like Hulk Hogan in reverse. When he uses real voice, it's kind of like a more, calm demeanor voice where you hear like his crazy, let me tell you something, brother, type voice. So it's kind of funny when you do hear someone's real voice and how different it is from like their acting voice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, and just real quick, guys, so we haven't done it yet. Can we give a big old shout out to We Can Be Heroes?
Oh, yes.
We have photos that were just sent to us of their new space. Really exciting. Man, I just cannot wait for lockdown to end because, I'm going to be running there like Speedy Gonzalez. I'll have the dust on the ground behind me.
Yeah.
That's right. Give props to the High Lords. We Can Be Heroes.
Right. And they're very stand-up guys over there at We Can Be Heroes.
Yeah. Righteous men.
Yep.
And they're doing a lot of... if you're on the Instagram and you follow them on Instagram, they do a lot of kind of comic book auctions or comic book sales that you can kind of just go and buy there. Pretty much, if you want to support your local comic shops, that's the way it's kind of being done now. Is comic shops are having sales, like live sales, and that's how they're being supported. So it's very important if you're a collector, buy some books.
There's not new
you don't
books.
have to wear your mask.
There's not new books coming out, guys, right now. But there's a lot of books that you can get really good quality stories out of that are in trade format right now, trade paperback, or even just vintage books. So highly recommend those.
I just have to get my mask to make sure I was protected for everything.
That's when you go to the store, right?
Yeah. Hi, guys. How are you?
Yeah, and that's kind of like We Can Be Heroes. Like some of those books they put off for auction, we're talking about great books. Like, seriously, great books.
Yeah.
Not just
sometimes they're so good you don't even get a chance to bid on them, They're
and they'll make your eyes light up. That's crazy.
Right.
Hey, Jared, say this is Sparta.
This is Sparta.
Nice. Nice helmet, sir. All right. Well, Jarrett, thank you for sticking with us. We're going to wrap this up here with we're going to keep going with the discussion and finish out our casting, and then if anybody has any other questions, otherwise we'll end it after that. But we're going to keep going. So thank you for being with us, Jarrett. You have a great one.
See you next week, Jared.
See you, buddy.
Love you. Bye. At the comic shop. All right. See you guys later.
Bye. Yeah, we too.
That's actually weird lens.
Whoa! We got to back out. Oh, Mom, we're still here, but I think she's just saying goodbye to Jarrett. But just to make sure you know,
this is I love it. Like when we sit here and experiment with cameras, total amateur hour.
Oh yeah, Well, I don't think even the professional people that are doing Skype and things like that right now are doing amazingly well. You know what I mean? Like,
no, their quality is dropping out a lot. I'm talking about things that get millions of viewers are having issues with Skype. So
Daily Show or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that.
Yeah.
So props to you guys for holding up technologically this evening.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Donald's advice about getting an Ethernet cable was a big deal. It seems to be working.
Yeah, nobody really dropped out, which is a big positive for us. So we did really well here. We're not to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm pretty happy with the results.
I'm going to start a podcast of my own where I just review one movie. Here, I will blindly just reach on the shelf here. We will be doing a 10-minute review tomorrow of The Deadpool. Yeah.
Right. By the way, my mother says you guys are doing great. So we're doing great according to my mom, which is all the praise we need.
Thank you, Mama McKinney.
I agree. I agree.
So, real quick, since you said Guy Pearce, right, Kevin, for Frenchie?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up a picture of him so everybody can remember who Guy Pearce is. Unfortunately, he's going to be covering one of our faces, so I'll put him in front of mine. Although, Darren, you're wearing glasses, so if I just put his face right over yours, it kind of looks like you're Guy Pearce. Wow.
Guy Pearce, yes. Guy Pearce
the same person
Australia.
here.
We are talking about one of the most talented actors that has ever graced the screen. He is a wonderful chameleon. Even in a movie like Iron Man 3, which I know you guys universally don't like, Guy Pearce is really good because he plays different people in everything. Prometheus, he's Wayland. The Time Machine. The Proposition, a little Australian Western where he was just tremendous. I'm a huge Guy Pearce guy. I don't know what he can't play.
You know what? I would have cast him for Riddler. I always thought he would have made a good Riddler.
You're right.
He just does it all. I'm a huge, like I said, a huge fan. I can't say enough kind things about Guy Pearce. And he's pretty selective about what he does, so he doesn't really overburden you with himself. But he's doing I think he did the Charles Dickens... what's the Christmas story?
He did do it. A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, yes.
I think it was called Scrooge or something like that.
Yeah, and he was interesting as that character because he's always interesting. He fascinates me. I mean, when he plays Wayland in Prometheus, I was just in shock that was Guy Pearce.
Yeah. So we were talking about Marlene. Who's the female love interest. And Kevin and I finally agreed on somebody. And we agreed on Alexandria Daddario. Am I correct, Kevin?
Yes.
Thinking that she would be a perfect choice for the love interest of Moon Knight, Marlene. So she's definitely an attractive-looking woman. She's got the acting talent, I feel, and overall, she's young and seems like she has fun in her roles. So, I approve of this.
Those bosoms are very talented.
Yeah, a friend of the show, Shabazz, definitely appreciates her.
Yeah. I'm sure he does. Women Crush Wednesday coming right up, Shabazz. The next comment we have is from Pete. Says, I always wanted Hugo Weaving as Riddler. Gave off the Batman, the animated series vibe.
Hugo's a talented guy too. I think
not a bad choice.
I think people get bogged down in his Mr. Smith role in The Matrix and forget he can do so many other things. He was in acting class with Mel Gibson, for crying out loud. So I mean, he's well trained.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was he in any of the Mad Max movies?
No, he was in acting class with Mel. They're old friends actually. And, I mean, even a movie like Mortal Engines, which just wasn't executed properly, Hugo Weaving was still the best part of that movie by far.
I'm absolutely interested in seeing that. In fact, I'm still going to check that out. I just haven't had time. I keep forgetting. It's one of those movies that you forget about, and you don't mean to.
The trailer kind of blew me away, and I thought there was a lot that could be going there, but it underwhelmed me a little bit. Like, I think that they had a potential to make a classic, but you make a misstep here and a misstep there. This is what happens.
We got another comment from Altex. It says, I haven't seen any of your other casting segments, but have you all done Lobo or Booster Gold? Those are the two hardest castings I can think of off the top of my head. No, we actually haven't really technically done either one casting-wise, but if that's something you would be interested in seeing in the future, we'd be happy to put our heads together and come up with a good list on either one of those.
Well, actually, one of the people on the screen here has cast a Booster Gold before.
That's true.
That is true.
And you know what I will go with here? Just off the top of my head, I didn't think too hard about it. Do you guys remember Eric Christian Olsen?
No.
Name sounds familiar.
He was in the remake of The Thing. He was a blonde guy. Also, too, he was in that stupid Dumb and Dumber like spinoff when Harry Met Lloyd without Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
Oof.
But Eric Christian Olsen, he's got the right look for Booster Gold. I don't know about the charisma, but he definitely has the right look, and that's just off the top of my head.
What do we have? Pedro, or Pete, I'm sorry. He says Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Let's reflect on Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, yes.
That's a movie, right? Yeah?
It is.
Yeah. Isn't there a scene with like a tennis, like a ping pong ball, and somebody's
yeah, we're not going to go there.
I don't know where you're going with that, Pete. I'm sorry. Maybe you were commenting off something and it popped up a little later. Oh, Hugo Weaving. Was he in that? He was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
Wow.
No
Man,
shit.
I love Hugo. Hugo Weaving was actually in Hacksaw Ridge, too, starring Andrew Garfield, directed by Mel Gibson as the drunken father.
He was terrible in that, though.
You think?
I think that's his worst acting I've ever seen in any of his films.
Okay.
I was astounded at the level of poor acting that he put forth in this. I don't think his heart was in it at all. I think it was just terrible. In fact, that film is one of the worst films I've seen in years. And
I don't agree at all with that, but okay.
and I've seen some stinkers.
We have our opinions.
That one was awful, man. I couldn't get behind it.
I love that film.
The accents were terrible. The acting was bad. And the story was whatever. I don't care. You know, it was just not for me.
The one thing that threw me a little bit was seeing Sam Worthington on the screen, because Sam Worthington, you know, he notoriously dropped out of a bunch of films a couple years before that movie. He really didn't need the work, so to speak, and he kind of came back and chose to do that on his own. So that was the most fascinating thing to me, is just the reappearance of Sam Worthington. Where did you go? You're in the most popular movie of all time.
Terrence Stamp was also in Priscilla. Wow, that's interesting. Would Abraham from Walking Dead make a good Lobo? Michael Cuditz. Man, I don't like. You're catching me on an off day here with that character, because I did not like. Okay, I wouldn't have minded him as Abraham if they would have just cut the dye from his hair and his. I don't know what they were trying to do with that, but that can't be his real hair color. Am I correct on this, Darren? You've seen The Walking Dead.
Yeah, okay. I've worked with Michael in a couple of projects. He's got a kind of a light brownish kind of hair.
They gave him clown orange colored hair in The Walking Dead, and I just couldn't get around it. And
he was also doing a TV show where the blonde hair kind of carried over. It was only a one-season show. It's about the Irish Catholic family in the 70s. It's escaping me right now, but I don't know. Like I said, I like Michael personally. He's a cool guy. I think Michael's maybe aged out a little for that role, but that's just my opinion. Can they make it work with technology? Of course they could. And Michael is a good actor, and I think he is overlooked oftentimes as a very good actor.
I think the danger with Lobo is that you want to make sure that you just get a guy that's muscular and that can act. You don't want to do a CGI like a Gollum type thing with Lobo. That's absolutely, that would be a death knell for that character and for the movie. Absolutely awful idea. The guy that played Lobo in the sci-fi series, Krypton, who one of us had the joy of watching far in advance. He seemed like he looked the part really well. I don't know how he acted in it. I didn't watch him in it, to be fair, but he looked really cool as Lobo. I thought, now would I cast him as the lead in a movie to headline it and carry it along? Probably not, but I'm gonna give him props for having the look down for sure.
With actors, let's take a moment to honor the now unfortunately late Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller passed away today. Clearly an outstanding character actor. For those of you who are Seinfeld fans or The King of Queens, I just never got enough of watching Jerry Stiller. Just a really outstanding, funny guy. But yeah, is there any memories you guys have of Jerry Stiller on screen?
I'm trying to think of a favorite. Go ahead.
Man, aside from his stuff in Seinfeld, I don't remember a lot more of his work. Now, a friend of mine just posted a lovely story. Apparently, there was a series in the 70s on television. It was a game show, and the game show, the contestants, they were couples, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, and they could win money for the audience. So like there was like groups. So if you think about it, it's like medieval times. There was the yellow knight's corner and the red knight and so on and so forth. And if you were in the yellow section, which they called the banana section, that was the section that Jerry Stiller and his wife were often in. And they were actually pretty good at this. So a lot of times they would win. And so my buddy said that he always went to this, like often, as much as he could, to be in the audience, because he knew he was going to get $40 or $50 most of the time out of being there. And he said back in the 70s, that was quite a bit of money for just showing up and being on a game show and doing nothing. So he said he went a lot. And he said that he ran into Ben not long ago, and he told Ben Stiller, Jerry's son, he said, hey, he said, I always appreciated your dad and your mom being on that show. Because he said, it got me a lot of money and got me through some hard times. And he said, and it was always fun, and they were very gracious and very polite. And Ben was like, oh yeah, the banana section, you were in there. So even Ben knew about the banana section from his dad. And I just thought that was a very sweet story of how Jerry Stiller affected somebody's life, not even really knowing it, and helped them out. And I thought that was cool.
I got a comment from your arch nemesis, Nick, just saying, "Serenity now!" Famous Jerry Stiller line. I personally enjoy the episode with of Seinfeld where Elaine takes his TV guide, because apparently he collects every single TV guide, kind of like you guys would collect comics in a series. And yeah, they're Festivus for the rest of us.
Wow, Festivus for the rest of us. Yeah. So, bon voyage, Mr. Stiller. Best of luck to you and wherever you're going. Where we'll all go at some point, I imagine.
Yes, God rest his soul. Along with, of course, the great Little Richard as well from a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Long tall Sally.
Real quick, Pedro or Pete, he says Jason Momoa was wanted by fans to play Lobo, but now he's Aquaman, and I agree. A lot of people wanted him to play Lobo, and now he's playing Aquaman, and I'm not upset at that. I think he was a great Aquaman, and I think the first Aquaman movie was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the sequel. Although, it's funny, for Marlene, I was going to cast Amber Heard, but I believe there's a bit of controversy with her. She's currently playing Mara, and there's talks of her being recast for that even, because of the way she treated Johnny Depp, if I recall.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed. Yeah, publicity is a big deal. I mean, this is exactly why, and we don't like to get into palace intrigue on this show very often, but this is exactly why Katie Holmes was recast in the Dark Knight series. She did not give positive publicity to that series, and that's why Maggie Gyllenhaal was in the Dark Knight. So these are careful things. I mean, we're talking about gigantic corporate business agreements when you make films of this size, and you can risk losing money.
Hundreds of millions of dollars are on the line.
Right, and for those that know or that don't know, Amber was said to have said some very damaging things about Johnny Depp and the way he treated her physically and emotionally. And that found out that that was not the case. And I'm not going to say I've had personal experience with that, but I have been very close to something like that, and that's not a good situation to be involved in. And unfortunately, I feel really bad for Johnny. And Darren, you worked on set with Johnny for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, Johnny is really cool. I actually have a photo that I put up on my wall back there with Johnny. Yeah, it was just really fascinating. We were all volunteering on a project together, and Johnny was a last-minute addition. And there were very few experienced people on the set, which happens on a volunteer set very often.
Yeah.
We were a pro-am, a professional/amateur, and I was one of the only people qualified to kind of hang out with him all day. And I liked him a lot. Like, he's a pretty regular guy for the most part. You know, obviously he has a certain aura to him, but I have nothing but nice things to say about the guy on a personal level. And what's interesting is his work I've always been iffy about. But once you meet these people, it's kind of funny how you warm up to their work a little more. And that's was the same thing with Robert Downey and Iron Man, who I was not a big fan of his work, honestly, until I met him. I loved working with Johnny. Johnny was cool. He did not leave without double checking to make sure we had all the footage from him we needed. So that's always appreciated.
That's super cool. That's a professional there for sure. Unlike from what I'm told, Chevy Chase, who didn't care and would just leave the set of Community before it was finished because he was tired of it and it wasn't funny. So there's a big difference.
Avoid the palace intrigue as much as we can, but my man, dude, I saw Chevy Chase legitimately scream at a 6-year-old boy. Okay, so
wow.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I will say no more.
The character, there's another villain. We're going to be talking about the Black Spectre here, but there's also another villain in this series that turns into a bit of a cyborg. And then there's another character that is kind of an informant, so to speak, and he's kind of in the shadows, and he's called the Profile. And I thought Titus Welliver might be a good choice for that. I know, unfortunately, we've seen him, he's been with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, but you don't actually see the guy's face. And he's got a very good, very straightforward, kind of a grizzled voice to him, and I think that would be the most important part, coming across with that voice and that level of talent I would like to see as that character. Not much else beyond that with that character, so we don't even know if that character is getting used. The Spectre's got a lot, Moon Knight, Mark Spector, he's got a lot of characters to work with, but there are a lot of very relative unknowns. Black Spectre, for instance, is one of his main villains, is pretty much arch nemesis and main rival in the series. And I know, Kevin, you had talked about wanting... who did you want that? You wanted Idris Elba, right?
Yeah, originally, and then we agreed to... Actually, I think the gentleman who plays Black Manta, right? Was that what we agreed to later on?
Well, we were talking about him for somebody else, I believe.
For somebody else.
But it could have been. Also, I was thinking of Chidi Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor?
No, Chidi Ejiofor. Chidi Ejiofor was in The Gentleman this year. Came out around January, a Guy Ritchie film. And he was also in, a friend of the podcast, Maria, does some editing for Universal Studios. And she worked on a film called A Doom Annihilation. And I watched that. And he was actually great in that film, guys. He was a bright light. And somebody I wanted to see more of, that character in the film. And just
is that a live-action film?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not animated. Okay.
It's not. Actually, I highly recommend it. It's a fun popcorn flick. If you like the Doom series, it's definitely better than the Rock version. I can guarantee you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun, and they put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making it. And, I recommend it. And since we're in the vein of Doom Annihilation, it's funny because I pulled from another actor from that film who happened to be in the film. There's a character that's kind of a cyborg that's kind of a villain that would work well with the Black Spectre, and that character's called Midnight. And I think Louis Mandylor would be a great choice for that, guys. And if you don't know who Louis Mandylor is, just take a look here on the screen. I've got him over here in front of Kevin's face right now. This guy's been in a lot of stuff. If you guys remember, he was in, he's in Doom Annihilation, but he's been in a lot of other things as well. Let me pull up. I've got a whole list here of things that he's been in. He was in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. He was in The Quest with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I love that.
Right, and he's in a bunch of stuff coming up, like 5 or 6 films and stuff. The Mercenary, Nightwalk, The Brave, Astro, Battle Drone, Blindsided. A lot of
he was in Rambo: Last Blood.
Yeah, and he was in a lot of B movies too. So like a ton of B movies. But I loved him in Doom Annihilation. I thought he was great. Like, he was a solid actor in this, and I was like, wow. And then I saw him in this other film where he showed up in, and he was the highlight of that too. And I was like, this guy's just awesome. And so I spoke to Maria, who worked around him on set, and she said that he was just a joy to be around. He was like a consummate professional.
He played Mackenzie in Necessary Roughness. That is the character Mackenzie was the guy who was the rugby player. He refused to play with pads.
Yeah, there you go. So
I love that character.
Yeah, so he's just a solid actor in general that's been in a lot of stuff. He's committed to his craft. He comes in, he does his job, keeps his head down, he's nice, he's cordial, and then he leaves. And that's why he keeps getting cast in all these films, is because he's such a professional and such a nice guy.
Here's a little secret that, most people may or may not share with you. Most actors are like that. They are professionals. They are well-tempered people. What you see on TV and is slightly exaggerated as far as when you hear Entertainment Tonight and all these things. Generally, they're pretty professional people. It would not work otherwise.
You got to keep in mind that we all have a bad day. I mean, at some point, I've been an asshole to Kevin and you, and at some point, you've all been assholes to each of us. It happens. We'll all have a bad day, and somebody will say something off, and it'll make somebody feel a little weird about it, or upset.
Darren never has a bad day. You kidding me?
What's that?
Darren never has a bad day.
It's rare.
Oh, I've seen.
Also, too, one can also say that if you permanently live in denial, you never have a bad day.
I've seen Darren turn a different color and flip a table.
No, thankfully, you guys, you didn't know me back in the day when I was a little more temperamental, so I'm proud of that.
Pete says, my girlfriend really loves Community. Well, Pete, so do I. I'm a huge fan. I mean, I don't love your girlfriend. I don't know your girlfriend. But I'm also a huge fan of Community. I don't want you to fight me or anything. I just want to make...
Aren't they making that to a movie now?
Well, they did the whole thing was 6 seasons in a movie, but the 6 seasons never happened. Well, I think the 6 seasons did happen. They got a 6th season on the Yahoo Network that failed spectacularly. There was only 2 or 3 shows on the Yahoo Network before they closed it. And they were all pretty solid, actually. They were all fun. But no one watched it, really. So that's kind of what tanked Community, is going to that network. Otherwise, if they would have went to Netflix or Amazon or something, and who knows, now that it is on Netflix, maybe there'll be a deal that they can create Community, the movie, made for Netflix, which would be a great idea, guys. So I think we should hashtag that and post it on our social media.
Yeah, and I think it's also important, too, even though we have told some stories about Mr. Chevy Chase, I don't care what these people do in their personal lives. I either like you as an actor or I don't. I can get past that, and I think most people should. I've been yelled at by very prominent actors before, but that being said, I can still acknowledge if you make good work, I'll still watch your stuff. You're not going to emotionally scar people, this, that, or the other. If you're good, you're good. If you don't agree with their opinion on something, or you hear they're not a nice person, don't pay attention to that. If you like their work, pay attention to their work.
One other thing, we got one more comment from Neil. It says, watching you live. Channing Tatum for Lobo. That's one I hadn't thought about. I don't know necessarily that. I don't want to say Channing Tatum doesn't have the acting chops, because I've seen him do some really good stuff, but I've seen him do a lot of really good stuff in the comedy world lately. So I don't know so much. Lobo will definitely be in the comedic realm, but there'll be a lot of action. So I don't know. Maybe Wyatt Russell could pull something like that off.
Personally, my feeling is I think Channing Tatum, he plays a lot of dumb characters, but he's a very smart guy. Like, I noticed Channing Tatum's quality of work improved exponentially on projects that he produced. So when he's producing a film, I assume he's handpicking that project because he's very self-aware of what he does.
Right.
So if Channing has a serious influence on a film, I personally don't oppose him doing pretty much anything, because he knows what he can do. He knows what his lane is,
and that makes sense. So maybe Neil, maybe, absolutely. But I think that's probably going to be it for us. Yeah, guys, I think we're pretty good on this. We've been going for about 2 hours now, so this has been a lot of fun. Everybody that's watched and has been watching, we really appreciate it. We try to do these weekly. We don't always succeed, but I'm sure we can come up with something for next week and do one. Maybe we'll do another Ask Us Anything with some more casting, so you guys can all tune in and we could discuss. We can even pull up a few books that we have in our personal collection that might be relevant to that casting and that character. That could be fun as well. Thank you, Pete. We appreciate you watching. You said great job.
Thanks, Pete.
My mom says good night. Good night, Mom. Say good night to my mom, everybody.
Thanks, Mother McKinney.
Thanks for staying up.
Yes, thanks for staying up. She stays up really late. That's why I can never sleep, because my parents are always up too. So thank you. Yes, Pete. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking with you guys and just talking in general to each other. Yuli Tex, thank you. Peace out to you as well. Thank you for chiming in and giving your opinions. And tune back into us. We should be up next week. Usually on Mondays is when we have them, and we'll post that as well the moment of. And I think we will be having one this coming Monday. So please look out for that. If you haven't yet liked us on our Facebook page, please do so. That's where we post that. Also our Instagram. Darren, do you want to tell them, you and Kevin want to split what platforms we're on?
Yeah, I always like to go with Sprecher and Blueberry, because those are the hard ones. Kevin, what are the bigger platforms that we're operating on?
Let's see. Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, obviously YouTube.
Mm-hmm. SoundCloud now, guys. So we're on SoundCloud. We are also on, what's that other one? iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
That's a big deal.
Which is an interesting one to be on. But we're on it, baby. We're on it.
You know, iHeartRadio carries the largest podcasting and what would you call it? Radio show names you could possibly imagine. So it's always feels good, if not for a little bit, to be in the company of those great names.
Yeah, so thanks to them, and thanks to you guys. And if we don't see you next Monday, perhaps when this pandemic eases up and we're able to get out into the store, maybe we'll see you
at the comic shop.
Boy!
All right, guys. Take care. We're also on Stitcher. Thanks, Frank. Bye-bye, guys.
Hey.